Whoa, persona non grata. It means you are not welcome in our country. Pack your bag and boot out of our country. Yes, it means we don't need you here. You are not fit to live in our country. Lovely family, for any nation to declare someone persona non grata, it takes sovereignty to do that. And that to a UN official, UN representative, United Nations representative for any country to declare a representative of the UN as persona non grata, you need to be a sovereign country, not under any Western influence, before you can make that decision. Lovely people, Burkina Faso is exercising sovereignty. Oh my. Please, in the comment section, write sovereignty right there. We are in Burkina Faso, lovely people. Brothers and sisters, today we are diving into a bold and historic decision coming out of Burkina Faso. This is what is happening, lovely people. If you are here, make sure you support the work we are doing here. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We are 100K and we are stagnant. It's not going up again. What is happening? Family, support the work we are doing here. Now, this is what is going on. The government of Captain Ibrahim Traoré has just declared the United Nations resident coordinator. Her name is Carol Flor, something. That's the name there. I can't pronounce that thing. So, she was declared persona non grata. In other words, she's no longer welcome in Burkina Faso. Why is this woman not welcome in Burkina Faso? I mean, Burkina Faso is a loving country. Everybody is welcome. Then why you are not welcome in Burkina Faso? It means you are doing something that compromises the sovereignty of Burkina Faso. This woman was declared persona non grata because of a controversial UN report accusing the Burkinabe government of violations against children in conflict. The authority of Burkina Faso says the report, which we are going to read, by the way. I'm going to present the report to you. The report is full of lies, deception, distortions, and baseless claims. No evidence. And this is not just a clash between Burkina Faso and the UN. This is bigger, lovely people. This is about Africa versus a system of international organization that too often they act like masters instead of partners. The moment you allow them as partners, then they switch to act as a master. Stay with me, lovely family. Let's break it all down. You can clearly see that my energy is very high today. Why? Because I'm proud to announce this beautiful development. You see, when it's sovereignty, give me in the comment section, just write sovereignty right there. Let's move forward. The story begins with a report, which I'm going to read, by the way. I will read it. Then we know exactly what is happening. The story actually begins with a report presented to the UN Security Council. And the title or the report is called Children and Armed Conflict in Burkina Faso. It's a document. This woman in Burkina Faso been declared as persona non grata. She is behind the document, all right? Submitted the document and the UN, published the document. Now, the document accused the Burkinabe government of human rights abuses against children caught in the country's conflict with terrorism. They wrote a lot of nonsense going on without any evidence, accusing the Burkinabe government, wrote a lot of things that you would not want to go to Burkina Faso after reading this. But here is the problem, lovely people. According to Burkina Faso's government, under the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the report was written without consulting national authorities, without investigations, without court rulings, and without hard evidence. Ibrahim Traoré always said that these people writing article against our country or writing article about our country, they are not writing the article for our interest, but for their own interest. So we need to check exactly what they have in there, make sure that we check detail to know what they are putting in there and say this one is not going, this one is going. We determine what to move out of our country, a story that move out of our country and go out there. And you publishing it and it becoming a lie is a different thing altogether. Lovely family, according to the spokesperson of Burkina Faso, the spokesperson of the Captain Ibrahim Traoré government, he said clearly that this so-called, I'm quoting him, this so-called UN report is nothing but a compilation of baseless assertions, end of quote. Now, lovely people, the government responded hardly. What did Burkina Faso do? Very simple. They declare Carol, blah, 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 the UN resident coordinator, persona non grata. That means she must leave the country. In simple terms, lovely family, before I read the update or I read the useless article, The government is saying that if you come here with lies and if you refuse to work with our institutions, if you disrespect our sovereignty, then you have no business in Burkina Faso. That is the message. At the same time, Burkina Faso made it clear that they are not in grudge with the UN. They have, they reaffirm that they are still open to working with the United Nations, but only with people who show true sincerity and respect. Now, the matter is deeper than this, but let me read the article first. Then from there, we go deeper to more of the expositions that you are not seeing on the media. Lovely family, permit me to open. Let's read together. I'm here to understand, okay? I'm here to actually see a report of UN or a UN report. I went to their site. One of the things I did before finding out the article was to look. After getting the article, even I went a little bit further, searching to see anything positive published over there from Africa. No, everything there is negative, unconfirmed. This on your screen right here is the report. You can see the top is saying that, I highlight that place, it says Office of Special Representative of the Secretary General for Children and Armed Conflict. Okay, so the title or the name is Children and Armed Conflict. So you see Burkina Faso, children bear, that is how they started it. Children bear the brunt of the intensification of the armed conflict despite effort by the transitional government. First of all, they're trying to make you understand that the transitional government is failing the people in the fight against terrorism. That is what the head is saying. And that is the aim actually of the whole article. Let's move forward. So you can see children here, and the picture here say a lot. As usual, the children are standing there with one book in their hands, and then at the background, you don't see any building there. There's some small broken building, uncompleted building there, and then the whole place is undeveloped. That is how they are showing you Burkina Faso. Beautiful. As I'll be reading, permit me, I'll be focusing a little bit on my screen, so don't take offense, all right? Now, children in Burkina Faso experience high levels of violence and grave violations perpetrated by all parties to conflict. It means the soldiers, they say all parties, the soldiers, the terrorists, everybody is participating. Yeah, now it went on and said, a new report, this is a new report, the first one of the Secretary General on Children and Armed Conflict in Burkina Faso shows. Now, the report covering the period between 1st July 2022 and 30th June 2024. You see, they pick the report during the transitional period. They are dealing with the transitional period, lovely people. Now, let's move forward. The report covering the period between 1st July 2022 and 30th June 2024 highlights that 2,483 grave violations against 2,255 children were verified, including some children who were victims of multiple violations. Deadly armed attacks against civilians have intensified and caused a serious deterioration of the humanitarian situations, with more than 2 million internally displaced persons, these people, of which most are children. Furthermore, an estimated 6.3 million people, among them 3.4 million children, needed humanitarian support, notably nutrition, health, protection, and education. This thing is happening in Burkina Faso. Are you people serious right now? Who counted the people? Like, what kind of... But the Burkinabés in Burkina are not even aware of that this is happening. So they are the only person that witnessed these things and they publish it. The people in the country don't even know. So they say the children need nutrition, vitamin C, vitamin B, and protection from who? Obviously from the military together with the terrorists. Okay, let's move forward. Continued armed conflict and overall insecurity deeply affected the education and health system, preventing hundreds of thousands of children from enjoying their fundamental right to education and basic health care. Hey, meanwhile, there is so much education reform going on in Burkina Faso what children are enjoying. I don't know, they are not publishing those things, but anyway, let's move forward. We will get these people, they can lie. Let's move forward. The continued deterioration of the security situation particularly impacted children's access to education, with more than 800,000 children affected by the closure of schools, underlying the special representative of the UN Secretary General for Children and Armed Conflict, Virginia Gamba. She published this after it was submitted by the persona non grata. Now, let's move forward. Most of the great violations were attributed to armed group. The killing and maiming of children, that is brutalization of children, was the most prominent grave violation, followed by adoption and recruitment and use. In addition, the last quarter of 2023 saw a sharp increase in the number of grave violations against children, notably child casualties. A total of 1,386 children, some as young as 8 months, were killed and maimed, including due to explosive devices. These people, how now? In quotes, I am alarmed by the elevated number of children killed and maimed. I strongly urge all parties to conflict not to target civilians, including children, to take all necessary measures to avoid harm to children in the conflict of their operations and to adhere strictly to their obligations under international law, said the special representative. You see how they are cooking the thing? The United Nations verified the abduction of 592 children, mostly girls, and 257 children were recruited and used, with a majority of boys affected. Humanitarian access was gravely hampered. They know how to write articles and exaggerate things and make things look what it is not. Anyway, let's move forward. Humanitarian access was gravely hampered, particularly in the central north Sahel and whatever regions over there, mostly due to armed groups, attack on villages and military. You think they are going to exclude the military? No, they are adding the military. The target is the military. This mostly due to armed groups' attack on villages and military counter-insurgency operations. Sexual violence continuing to be vastly underreported. Stigmatization, the fear of reprisal, harmful social norms, as well as impunity and safety concern. The United Nations verified that 20 girls were raped, one of whom died following collective rape. In many cases, sexual violence was preceded by adoption, and survivors were targeted while on their way to or from collecting firewood or fetching water. As for us there, we are in Africa, we are always in the bush. Now firewood we collect. See our people. Jimmy. Now, limited progress to protect the children of Burkina Faso. See the highlight there? The target is the leadership. The leadership is not doing anything to protect the people. Now, this is the report that they put out there. You see all the things that you put there. Can you take your child to Burkina Faso? These are the things they publish about Burkina Faso. And I am yet to see UN, any report on any Western platform like the UN, talking about factory build, schools build in Burkina Faso, educational reforms in Burkina Faso. Faso Mebo that the people are even contributing to building in Burkina Faso. I'm yet to see them putting something at least positive for once from Burkina Faso. But why is this important? Let's pause for a moment. Because this is not the first time the UN or other international bodies have accused or have been accused of pushing false narrative about African nations. We have seen it in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where a UN peacekeeper or where UN peacekeepers have stayed for decades with little result. We saw it in Mali, where the government kicked out the UN peacekeeping missions, accusing them of spreading disinformation and protecting Western interests. And now we see it in Burkina Faso. This move by the Burkina Faso government is part of a new wave of African resistance against foreign domination and manipulation. A refusal to accept lies wrapped in the language of human rights and international consent. Appropriate to Burkina Faso. See people. Applaudisse to Burkina Faso. Now, let's look at the wider context. Burkina Faso is fighting a brutal war against terrorism. Of course, both civilians and soldiers are falling victim to this terror attack. But instead of support, what do the international organizations bring? Accusation, sanctions, report. Yet, where were these organizations when terrorists were unaliving civilians under the former regime? Where was the UN when the entire community were being wiped out by armed groups in Burkina Faso under the democratic regime? It is only when Burkina Faso starts standing on its feet, building alliance with its Sahel neighbors, strengthening its military and engaging sovereignty, then suddenly the UN wakes up with a damning report. What is happening in Burkina Faso, lovely people, it should concern every African, because this is not just about one country. This is about the principle of self-determination. Listen, I will bring Odemaya into the picture. But you see, for far too long, Africa, we have been judged by outsiders, by Western media, by NGOs, the UN, by the IMF and the World Bank. But they tell us what is right, what is wrong, what is dictator, who is legitimate, who should stay and who should go, how African look, they project our image. But now a new generation of African leaders are saying no. Mali said no, Niger said no, Burkina Faso is now saying no. This is Pan-African action. If not for Odemaya, a lot of people would think that Africa will live in three. I'll always be Odemaya, he inspired me to the core. Like, he's an inspiration. Sometimes when I try, when I got tired, I said, let me rest a little bit. And then I go through his page and I see the things he's doing for Africa. I say, no. I begin to set my things and setting up my camera. He's inspiring me. The day I'll meet him, I'll hug him, his bone will break. If not for Odemaya, showing the positive aspect of Africa. Hey! They thought we are living in bush. There are millions, there are thousands of investors in Africa today because of Odemaya. We are seeing Westerners moving and having to do tourism in, some Africa countries because of Odemaya. Which means that not only the leaders are rejecting the false narrative, but there's a young generation that are standing up and say, hey, we are telling our own story. You can't tell our story for us. And Burkina Faso is saying, hey, yeah, you don't do that here. We are sovereign nation. You fuck up, you go. So Burkina Faso is sending an important message. It's sending the message that, look, we are no longer children of colonialism. We are adults capable of governing ourselves, telling our own story, projecting ourselves. So here we are, lovely people. Burkina Faso has taken another bold step in its struggle for freedom and dignity. The government has told the United Nations loud and clear that, look, if you cannot work with honesty and respect, you are not welcome here. Pack your things and go.